Cold. Emptiness. A half-naked wounded man with his hands tied falls on the snow but tries to run on. We learn that this is Quintus Dias and that this is neither the beginning nor the end of his story. And then we go back for 2 weeks. We learn that Dias is a Roman centurion and has been fighting for 2 years on the northern frontiers of the Roman Empire in Britain. The local climate kills his soldiers, while Gorlakan, the rival Pictish king, attacks those who manage to survive. Quintus Dias complains about a dishonorable war, where guerrilla attacks have replaced honest combat fights. We see one of these night raids in the next scene. Wild and ruthless Picts destroy almost the entire camp of the Romans, and only knowledge of the Pictish language saves Quintus Dias from death. The savages thought he could be useful. Meanwhile, in York, in the garrison of the 9th Legion, we meet another essential hero of this story. General Titus Flavius Virilis, a man with a sense of humor and authority among warriors, whom no one could beat in arm wrestling. He receives a message from Gnaeus Julius Agricola with orders for his legion to march into the north. We return to the misadventures of Quintus Dias. In the Pictish camp, he is brutally and humiliatingly tortured in an attempt to find out the military plans of the Romans. But the centurion is a true warrior, and despite all the deplorability of his position, he does not give the enemy anything of the information they are interested in. Outstanding courage and fortitude. There is something to envy here. In Carlisle, Agricola demands that Virilis bring him the head of Gorlakan and deal with the savage Picts once and for all. He longs for military success, allowing him to return from cold Britain to Rome. However, the general does not share his ambitions and does not want to get him a ticket to Rome at the cost of the lives of his soldiers. Well, it's not for nothing that Virilis' soldiers respect him so much. And yet, with persuasion and threats, Governor Agricola gets his way. Virilis agrees to find and kill Gorlakan. As an assistant, he is given a Celtic scout, Etaine. She's mute but damn attractive, and in the first second, she demonstrates that she is also an excellent warrior. Damn it, what a woman! I even envy the general a little. The 9th Legion moves forward, and Quintus Dias manages to escape from captivity. We again see him running in the snow. Now we understand that this is his path to freedom. Later, already in the forest, 3 Pictish riders chase him down. Fortunately for the centurion, the 9th Legion had already arrived in this forest, and their beautiful scout had seen the chase. At the last second, the Romans come to the centurion's aid, saving him from certain death. Quintus Dias is impressed by the personality of his savior, and I understand him very well. In the evening, the centurion, already in full dress, comes to the general's tent. He realizes that he will have to face Gorlakan again and confirms that he can't wait to return to the enemy's lair. It seems that life does not teach this man anything, as he again wants to return to the place from which he miraculously escaped only recently. But the general, of course, likes such zeal. In the morning, the army sets off again. In the foggy forest, the Romans fall into a trap. A large-scale battle begins, for which we love historical films so much. Screams, blood, ringing of steel, and many casualties on both sides. In a desperate battle, the Romans are defeated, and Etaine suddenly turns out to be a traitor. It was she who led the legion into a trap, conspiring with Gorlakan. The Picts leave, taking the wounded Virilis prisoner. Quintus miraculously survived. He was filled up with corpses in a ditch. A few other Roman soldiers also survived, Bothos, Thax, Brick, Macros, Leonidas, and the Cupterac. The brave 7 decide to continue on their way to the Picts to save the captive general, desperate guys. The general, captured by the Picts, learns the reason for Etaine's betrayal. As a child, the Romans burned her village, blinded her father, raped her and her mother, and later cut out the girl's tongue. It is not surprising that after this, she grew up as a courageous warrior whose main goal in life was to take revenge on the Romans. The desperate 7, meanwhile, reach the Pictish camp. Under cover of night, they manage to get inside and get to the general chained to the stone. They silently kill the Pictish guards, so they don't call attention to themselves. It would seem that success is already in their hands, but fate decrees otherwise. The chain that the general is chained to does not give in, and the Pictish cavalry is approaching the camp. Gorlakan's son notices the Roman invasion, but one of the legionnaires, Thax, strangles him to death. Something tells me that he killed the boy in vain. The general realizes that he cannot be saved and orders the remnants of the legion to leave without him. He transfers the control of the army, more precisely, what is left of it, into the hands of the centurion. A very noble act, which in my eyes immediately added 100 points to the general. With a heavy heart, the soldiers agree to leave. The centurion now has a new task: to bring the warriors home. The next day, Gorlakin burns his dead son's body and promises Virulus to kill his soldiers responsible for the boy's death. He frees the general from his chains and even gives him a sword. It seems Virulus will be able to meet the end in combat. Attain becomes his opponent. Remember, I said that I'm a little jealous of the general, but now I don't envy him one bit. In this woman's eyes, you can see that there will be no mercy from her. In a spectacular fight, spear against sword, Attain kills the general. Rest in peace, brave warrior. The remnants of the legion go to the mountains. The centurion devises an elaborate plan for how they can get back to the Roman troops. To confuse the enemy, they decide first to go even further north, although their ultimate goal is south, and that means weeks of a complicated and dangerous journey. Gorlakin sends his soldiers, led by Attain, in pursuit of the fugitives. You remember that Attain is a tracker, don't you? Hiding from this woman is almost impossible. The Romans go further and further into the mountains, but the Picts follow on their heels. There is a split among the warriors. Not everyone finds the cold journey through the mountains equally easy. More precisely, it is not easy for anyone, but for some warriors, it is challenging. Some of the stronger ones offer to get rid of the weak ones, but the centurion rejects such a low offer, insisting they can only be saved if they stick together. In the end, the Picts almost caught up with the Romans. In an epic chase, a brave cook dies, and one of the legionnaires breaks his leg. And yet, the legion remnants manage to save themselves for a while by jumping off a cliff into a raging mountain river. Macros and Thax, taking advantage of the situation, decide to abandon the others. They believe that without weak and injured partners, they have a better chance of escaping. The Picts are camping by the river, directly opposite the Romans. With one of the legionaries, Quintus Dias decides to cross the river and attack the Picts at night. They manage to kill several enemies, and the centurion learns about the murder of Gorlakin's son. This mission could have been considered successful if, at the same time, Attain had not crossed the river and killed one more Roman and seriously wounded the second. Macros and Thax, meanwhile, are running through the mountains, pursued by wolves. Thax is exhausted and collapses, but when his friend leans down to help, Thax cuts a tendon in Macros' leg to leave him as bait for the wolves to draw their attention away from him. No wonder I didn't like this character. Quintus Dias and two of his companions find the cabin of exiled Briton Arian in the forest. This is another charming girl. I hope at least she will not be a traitor. Arian tells the centurion that a Roman camp is nearby, 2 days away. Although the centurion's companions do not trust the girl, she helps heal the wounds of one of them and feeds the Romans. It seems that they are still lucky with a hospitable reception. Arian appears to develop feelings for Quintus, so even fearing an Attain's invasion, she decides to help the Romans. She hides them in the basement when the Picts come to her hut. I was very surprised that such an experienced tracker as Attain did not feel she was walking right over the heads of her enemies, but I, of course, was very happy for them. The Picts leave with nothing. The centurion thanks Arian for saving, and she persuades him to stay one more night so that his friend's leg can heal. Quintus wonders why she is helping them since she is also a Pict. It turns out that Gorlakin once accused her of witchcraft, left a scar on her face, and doomed her to live in exile. No wonder she no longer considers the Picts to be her people. The Romans leave the following day, although both the centurion and Arian are sad about it. It seems that there was something between them at night. The path continues. The warriors already see the Roman camp ahead and hope for salvation. But alas, the outpost is empty. Agricola and his troops retreated south, giving the Picts the lands for which the centurion had fought for so long. And the clatter of hooves is already heard nearby. Attain and her army are approaching. Quintus Dias and his two companions decide it's pointless to run away again. They should stay and take the fight, taking advantage of the fortified camp. A wise and courageous decision of real warriors. The enemy has superior strength. They are better armed, and there are no wounded among them. Still, the Romans manage to destroy Attain's entire squad, but at the cost of Brick's life. In a spectacular fight, the centurion and Attain go head-to-head, and no one seems to have a clear advantage. In the end, the centurion manages to kill Attain. Now he is left with one surviving soldier. Quintus Dias and both those continue on their way, using the horses of the Picts. It seems that no one else should follow them, but at night, they hear footsteps at a halt in the forest. Both are alert, but it's just Thax. Here's someone I'd rather not see again. Finally, all three approach a distant Roman outpost. Bolthos joyfully rushes forward on a horse. Thax threatens the centurion with a sword, demanding that he not tell the commander about the murder of Gorlacan's son. Quintus Dias is not going to be silent. Then Thax treacherously attacks the centurion. Of course, the centurion wins by strangling Thax. Finally, this bastard is dead. But there is no time for rejoicing. The Romans on the wall of the outpost mistake the approaching Bolthos for a pict and shoot him with a bow. Centurion did manage to help a friend. Now his whole legion is dead. Quintus Dias comes to Agricola's camp. He is promised glory and honor. But as soon as the centurion leaves the tent, Agricola and his advisors decide to kill Quintus Dias so that the legion's fate remains a mystery and does not become a stain on his reputation. At dinner, the guards attack the centurion. He is wounded but still manages to repulse the attack and escape from the camp. In the film's final scene, the wounded and exhausted centurion literally falls into Arrian's arms. Well, perhaps this is not the most honorable finale for a brave warrior, but this is definitely a happy ending. This movie had its up and down, the fight scenes were amazing, and the acting was great. I would recommend this film for any historical war lovers. Thanks for watching another Essential Movie Recap. Please like and subscribe.